Right, let's dive in. Today we're talking Bitcoin. Specifically, we're going to tackle a strategy you might have heard of, HODLing. We're dissecting this article, Bitcoin HODL, riding volatility with a long-term strategy.
Okay.
And helping us break it down is Matthew from CRS Bitcoin University.
Sounds interesting.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Bitcoin. Isn't that like a total roller coaster?
Oh, absolutely. Super volatile.
Yeah, and this whole HODL thing will unravel all that by the end of this deep dive. You'll see how it can help navigate those crazy ups and downs.
Yeah, the thing about HODling is it's fascinating how it went from like just a typo to this whole philosophy. It's kind of like a guiding light in, the sometimes turbulent world of Bitcoin.
So true. Okay, so for those who are new to this, HODL actually started as a misspelling of hold back in like 2013 on a Bitcoin forum.
Yep.
Someone probably freaking out about the market just, fat-fingered it and bam, an icon was born.
It's really amazing. Like a simple typo became this mantra for long-term Bitcoin investors. It represents this idea of not letting go no matter what the market does.
And, well, Bitcoin is known for being pretty wild.
It really is. There's that saying, like, how do you make $1 million in Bitcoin? Start with 2 million. But seriously, though, those drops can be pretty scary. What's the point of just holding on through all of that?
Well, the article really emphasizes this emotional aspect of investing, right? Like, a lot of people, they panic and sell when the price dips.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they regret it later when it goes back up. HODling is about resisting that urge, not giving in to that fear.
Makes sense.
You're constantly reacting to every little price change. You're letting your emotions control your investments.
True, but wouldn't that mean like missing out on potential gains if you bought high and it keeps dropping?
Well, that's where risk management comes in. And the article's pretty clear. Avoid leverage, especially in those bull markets when everything's skyrocketing. Leverage can really amplify your losses if things go bad.
So rule number 1 for aspiring HODlers? Only invest what you can actually afford to, like not see again.
Exactly. Don't put your rent money in there,
Right, exactly. Think long term. Matthew suggests at least 5 years.
At least.
It's not about getting rich quick, right?
No, it's about, being a part of this potential financial revolution.
Oh, and speaking of long term, the article talks about altcoins and those meme coins.
Oh, yeah.
Tempting, but
He actually strongly advises against them.
Really?
Yeah, they're super speculative. A lot of them probably won't even be around in a few years.
Wow.
It's more like gambling than investing,
So stick to the OG, the Bitcoin, the bedrock.
Exactly. You're not just buying a digital asset. You're buying into a philosophy, a vision.
That's a good way to put it. But let's be real, those price changes can be really stressful.
Oh, yeah.
How do experienced HODlers handle that? Well, the article actually has a simple solution. Stop constantly checking the price.
Oh, just like that.
Seriously. Just step away from those charts. That constant up and down can really mess with you, and you'll end up making impulsive decisions.
Easier said than done then, right? Like, especially if you're just starting out, it's almost like this siren going off in your head.
Oh, I know.
But this idea of stackers that Matthew mentions, that's interesting.
Yeah, stackers, they're all about playing the long game. They focus on accumulating Bitcoin over time. Like, it's a saving strategy, not a day trading frenzy.
So they're not like obsessed with the price every second.
Right. They're in it for the long haul. They see the bigger picture.
So it's like a savings account, but with Bitcoin. You're accumulating those sats, like the Bitcoin cents, for the future.
Yeah, exactly. And, this ties into a big misconception about investing, trying to time the market perfectly. The article has this story about someone who bought Bitcoin at a high price and was thinking about selling just to buy back lower. Matthew's advice, don't do it.
Why not? Wouldn't that be smart if you could buy more later?
Well, the thing is, timing the market is almost impossible. What if it doesn't drop as much as you think? You could miss out on gains trying to be too clever.
Yeah, I see your point. It's tempting to try to outsmart the market, but it's risky.
Very risky. Which brings us back to the classic, buy and hold. The article even tells a story about someone who regretted selling their Bitcoin way too early, only to watch the price explode later. It's a reminder that sometimes simple is best.
Buy and hold. Got it.
Yeah.
But isn't that a little, boring? Where's the excitement in just sitting on your Bitcoin?
Well, that's where the contrarian nature of HODling comes in. Think about it. In traditional markets, everyone freaks out when prices drop, right?
Yeah.
But for a lot of Bitcoin holders, a price drop is actually a good thing. It's a buying opportunity.
Wait, seriously? They get excited about dips.
Oh, yeah. It's a chance to get more Bitcoin for less money. This mindset, it actually lines up with Warren Buffett's famous philosophy: be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful.
Wow.
It might seem counterintuitive, but it makes sense if you believe in Bitcoin's potential in the long run.
So it's like a Black Friday sale for Bitcoin. The smart people stocked up when things are cheap.
Exactly. And the article points out that those who were buying during the bear market back in 2021, 2022, they're reaping the rewards now.
Mm-hmm.
Takes guts to buy when everyone else is selling, but it can pay off big time.
Definitely a reminder that that patience and discipline can be really rewarding. So for someone who's new to Bitcoin, thinking about HODLing, where do they even begin?
Well, the article says that the HODL mindset, it kind of evolves over time. At first, you're checking the price every 5 minutes, hoping for that moonshot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But as you learn more about Bitcoin, the tech, the fundamentals.
Start thinking long term.
Exactly. It becomes like about those quick profits and more about being part of something bigger, a potential financial revolution.
I like that. And so those wild price swings, they become less scary.
Right. They're not threats anymore. They're opportunities to get more Bitcoin. You start to understand that volatility is just part of the journey, especially in the early days of any disruptive tech.
So it's like learning to surf. At first, those waves seem huge and scary, but with practice, you learn to ride them.
That's a perfect analogy. As you become a more experienced Bitcoin surfer, those ups and downs just don't bother you as much. You learn to trust the long-term direction.
Love that. We've gone from the origins of HODL to like this whole mindset shift it requires. But what does all of this mean for Bitcoin itself, for the future of Bitcoin? Stay tuned because we'll be diving into that very question right after this. So we were just talking about that whole mindset shift that comes with HODling, going from like constantly checking the price to becoming a Bitcoin surfer, right?
Right. Riding those waves.
Exactly. But let's zoom out for a sec. What if like everyone starts HODling? What happens to Bitcoin then?
That's where things get really interesting. The article suggests that widespread HODling could actually make Bitcoin's price more stable.
Wait, really? I thought Bitcoin was like famous for being volatile.
It is, but think about it. If most people are holding long-term, not freaking out and selling every time the price dips,
Yeah.
wouldn't that create like a buffer against those crazy swings?
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Less panic selling, less drama. But some people say volatility is just, part of Bitcoin's DNA. Can HODLing really change that?
That's the big question. But as more people think long-term, the market could like fundamentally shift. Instead of being driven by speculation and FOMO.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah, exactly. Bitcoin might start behaving more like a traditional store of value, like gold.
So less roller coaster, more like a slow and steady climb.
Maybe, yeah. The article says that as HODling becomes more common, Bitcoin's value becomes more clear. People might start seeing it as a hedge against inflation, a way to protect their wealth.
Makes sense. But let's get real for a second. What about someone just getting into Bitcoin now? Is it too late to join the HODL club?
It's never too late to start a good strategy. The main thing is patience and thinking long-term no matter when you buy in.
So even if someone buys today and the price drops tomorrow, they shouldn't freak out.
Nope. Remember, we're talking about a revolutionary technology. Volatility is normal, especially early on. What matters is having a plan and sticking to it, not letting your emotions take over.
Easier said than done, I know. But that brings us back to stacking sats, right? Yeah. Gradually building up your Bitcoin over time.
Exactly. Especially for those new to Bitcoin who might find the price a bit intimidating. You don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin at once.
Right. You can start small.
Yep. And this reminds me, the article also talks about dollar cost averaging.
Oh, yeah. What's that about?
It's a simple strategy. You invest a fixed amount regularly, no matter the price. So say $50 every week. Some weeks you get more Bitcoin, some weeks less, depending on the price.
So you're like taking advantage of those dips without having to perfectly time it.
Exactly. Over time, it kind of evens things out, and you might even lower your average cost.
That's pretty smart, especially if you're new and all those price changes are a bit overwhelming. But let's go back to the big picture again. If everyone starts HODLing, how does that change how the world sees Bitcoin? Right now, it's seen as like this risky, speculative thing. Could that change?
It could. As more people HODL, the focus shifts from quick profits to Bitcoin's actual value. It becomes less of a gamble and more like a digital gold.
And that can make it more appealing to like big investors, institutions, even regular people who are scared of the volatility.
Definitely. If people see Bitcoin as a safe haven, a way to protect their money from inflation, that could bring in a whole new wave of investors.
Interesting. But, okay, some people might say the volatility is what makes Bitcoin exciting, the potential for big gains.
Right, it's that classic trade-off, stability versus the chance to get rich quick. As Bitcoin matures, it'll be fascinating to see what happens. Does it become more predictable, or does it stay wild?
Who knows? But one thing's for sure. Bitcoin's story isn't over yet. We're still early in what could be a huge change in how we think about money. And for those HO dealers, they get to be a part of it, riding those waves of change.
It's a journey, definitely, full of uncertainty, but also full of possibility. And for those who are willing to stick with it, the payoff could be huge, not just financially, but in terms of being part of something that could change the world.
That's a great point. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we've covered a lot today, from the basics of HO dealing to its potential impact on the whole financial system. But we want to leave you with a question, something to think about. So we've been on this HO dealing journey, and it's pretty wild to think about how it could change things for Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But before we wrap up, we want to leave you with something to really chew on.
Okay, what is it?
Imagine, everyone, most Bitcoin holders just decide to HO deal. What happens to the price then? Does it smooth out, or is Bitcoin just always going to be volatile?
That's a really good question. We talked about how HO dealing might calm things down in the short term, make it more stable. But could it actually get to a point where Bitcoin's price is almost, I don't know, predictable?
It's possible, especially if Bitcoin keeps getting adopted, by businesses, regular people, everyone.
Yeah.
If it becomes a normal part of the financial system, imagine people using it every day, buying groceries with Bitcoin,
Wow.
holding it for their savings, like a digital piggy bank. In that world, maybe those price swings just kind of disappear.
That's a bold thought. I mean, a stable Bitcoin, it'd be pretty attractive to those big investors who are still on the fence.
Yay.
And even just everyday people who are scared off by all the volatility.
Exactly. But then again, some people love the volatility. It's exciting. It's how you make those huge gains.
True. It's do you want stability or the chance to strike it rich?
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough question. As Bitcoin grows up, matures, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Will it settle down, or will it always be a little bit wild?
Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, Bitcoin's story is far from over.
Oh, yeah.
We're still so early in this potential revolution in how we use money. And for those HO dealers, they're along for the ride, right?
They're in the front seat, witnessing history in the making.
I love that. So to everyone listening, as you explore Bitcoin and all this crypto stuff, remember, HO dealing, it's not just a strategy, it's a mindset. It's about sticking to your beliefs even when things get tough.
It's about believing in the power of this technology, even when others doubt it.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe those HO dealers, they'll look back one day and realize they weren't just investing in Bitcoin, they were investing in a whole new future, a future where everyone has financial freedom.
It's a powerful thought, isn't it? The possibility of true financial empowerment for everyone.
Yeah. It really is. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of HO dealing and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We hope you learned something, and maybe you got a little bit more curious about what the future holds.
Yeah, keep those minds open, keep asking questions, and keep exploring this fascinating world.
Absolutely. Until next time.